that matter to us. Join the conversation. This is the Front Bench.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Front Bench live on UBC TV. Thank you so much for keeping it UBC every Monday at 8:30. The Front Bench returns with, of course, different engagements, different ministries, different MDAs, and of course ensuring that we engage you, our public, but also to understand how best are they doing when it comes to serving Ugandans in their different ministries. So our focus tonight with officials from the National Planning Authority, of course, we are talking about the National Development Plan 4. Doctor, thank you so much for sparing time. You are going to educate Ugandans. What you're doing as the National Planning Authority. I remember you did launch this very plan this very year, but Ugandans may want to understand your mandate and how did you get to this National Development Plan 4, because I do understand there was 1, 2, 3, and 4. Probably, how did you get to this, Doctor?
Thank you, Jethro, and good evening, our viewers once again. The National Planning Authority is established by the Constitution of Uganda. Article 125 establishes a planning body that is responsible for developing plans for the evaluation of the entire country and development of plans. But the operationalization of the National Planning Authority is done by an Act of Parliament in 2002. And in this Act, we are mandated to develop comprehensive and integrated development plans for the country. In this, we do in light of the vision and both medium-term and long-term planning. For starters, we do not have integrated planning in the country. I'm tracing my journey from around the 80s. And this was the first effort to try and do integrated planning for the country. So for us to do that, we are supposed to, we developed the comprehensive national development framework, which defines our roadmap as far as planning is concerned. From this comprehensive national development framework, we have the Vision 2040, which is meant to transform Uganda from a peasant society to a modern and prosperous country by 2040. We used to talk of 30 years, but now they are less, so we say by 2040. And this vision is supposed to be achieved through a stepwise process. The stepwise process is split into 6 steps, what we call the medium-term planning periods, or what you could also call the national development plans. So up to date, we have done 4. We did the first one, the second one, the third one, and the 4th one. And we hope that we have about 2 more, and we're able to finally reach our vision. This 4th National Development Plan builds on the previous plans. All plans have been building on the first one. The first and second development plan was setting the scene of integrated planning. And from the evaluations that we did from the first and second and the medium-term evaluation for the second development plan, we were able to determine mixed results. We did perform in some areas, and some areas we did have some challenges. And the lessons learned are what we pick and put in the 3rd National Development Plan. I will single out one major lesson we pick from the 1st and 2nd Development Plan. It had to do with how we are doing the work. We lacked, there was a silo approach to what we were doing. You would have a situation where a health center, through the Ministry of Health, would like to provide water to a health center, and they would construct a borehole. And then 30 meters away, the local government of that same area also builds a borehole for the community. So you have 2 boreholes. So most of the sectors were not talking to each other. So to break the silos, we came up with a program-based approach, which was our flagship reform in NDP 3. As you know, NDP 3 had some challenges because at the very time we launched it, we were hit by COVID-19, and the lockdown did affect our projections. The aspirations we had set were distorted and were not able to reach the targets. But nonetheless, there were other lessons picked from the medium-term review of the NDP3, and that's what now we have in NDP4, basically consolidating the program-based approach and all the interventions we had proposed. Specifically talking to issues around import substitution, because you remember when we had COVID, we were locked up as a country. So import substitution became very important, as well as improving our export value, because for the first time we realized that once we had a lot of production, like farm production, at some point we had a situation where nobody was willing to take our products because of quality issues. So there are quite a number of lessons learned, and the NDP4 now polishes that and reprioritizes to enable us achieve our development aspirations.
Honorable, the doctor has talked about part of the plans that you do have as the authority that is in line with National Development Plan 4. But of course, that takes me to the Tenfold growth strategy. Practically, what is this strategy all about?
Yeah, thank you, Jethro. First and foremost, it's important for me and my senior here to inform the viewers that as we are discussing the National Development Plan 4, we have tried to historicize the planning in this country. We have a whole narration of where we've come from, right from independence. If you will recall, Jethro, that at the point of independence between about 1962 and 1970, we were basically, we had some plans, but which were driven by the colonial interests. You will know that at that point we were basically an economy that produced raw materials, exported raw materials. Then, of course, in there was an introduction of the cash crops and so on, basically subsistence. But as we went on, of course, during the different leadership periods, especially just after 1970, we then had a complete breakdown in the management of the economy during the Idi Amin era, and most of our industrial the production and productivity in the country had literally collapsed. Now, so it comes to up to 1986 when the current administration took over leadership. Then there was a quick analysis of the situation, and there was need then to restore security, peace and security across the country. And then from about 97 to around, from 90 to about 97, 98, it was basically an era of reforms, which reforms were driven to stabilize the economy, to reactivate the production and base of the economy. And then beyond that, we went into an era of where, when we were working with the IMF and World Bank, we then went into an era of where we focused on poverty eradication, the PIPs. So once we did that, this was still not adequate to address the challenges that we faced as a country. It then became clear that we had, as of 2009, is when now we reintroduced the National Development Planning. And that's when, in 2010 to 2015, we had our NDP1, the National Development Plan 1. Then subsequently you had the 2 and the 3, which has just concluded, and then now we have 4. Key to mention is that those plans up to then focused on basically stabilizing the economy, getting the production base of the economy up and running, investments in infrastructure, investments, socio-economic infrastructure that included energy, the road infrastructure, the socio-economic infrastructure, and so on and so forth. Now, having done now, as my senior has said, up to the fourth now, which we have just recently launched, as he did elaborate. Now, there are still gaps that we've continued to experience in terms of where we are today as opposed to what was targeted in our Vision 2040. Now, under the leadership of the Ministry of Finance, the idea of the tenfold growth was basically to leapfrog the economic growth in order to fast-track growth within the country so as to be able to drive the economy towards the achievements of the aspirations that we put down in the perspective vision. Our perspective, long-term perspective vision is the Vision 2040. Now, the strategy basically helps us to fast-track our priorities in the plan and offers us the different pathways through which we will do investments in using the public resources. We will motivate the private sector to come in and as well invest. We will drive all investments within the economy towards the stated objectives, but rather in a faster way. That's why the importance of the tenfold growth comes in. For example, you will know that our current GDP of the economy is about 50 billion USD. But now, under the tenfold strategy, the idea is to grow this economy to 500 billion by 2040. Now, in terms of the relationship between the NDP4 and this growth strategy, first, it's a strategy that guides our investments in the priority areas. We have already selected our priority areas as a country, which are well elaborated on in the plan. They, just for mention, I can say it's agriculture, tourism, mineral development, ICT, and so on. Now, those areas is what we are looking at as the key growth areas for us to be able to fast-track growth. Now, in tourism, for instance, we see this under the tenfold growth strategy as one of the key areas through which, if investments are directed in this area, we are able to easily grow the economy. Why? Because for tourism, for instance, you could say that every dollar you invest or every shilling you invest, there is a higher rate of return. So in agriculture, you will note that agriculture provides most of the employment to our population. So it's also one of the key areas. And then under the tenfold growth strategy, it has prescribed the reforms that we need to undertake within the agricultural sector. For example, production and productivity, value addition, and so on. So in all of those, so that's the importance of the tenfold growth.
Okay.
And just to come back to the NDP4, NDP4 starts the implementation of that tenfold strategy. It is the first plan. You remember that we have 3 more plans to go. So now, within that, we think we should have been able to hit the 500 billion growth USD by 2040. But the NDP4 starts that growth. We expect that by the end of the NDP4, the economy should have expanded to about $158 billion.
Thank you, Honorable.
Yes.
I will get back to you. Doctor, you talked about integrated development planning, that comprehensiveness. How do you close the gaps, for example, because you did talk about the medium-term plans and the long-term prospective plans. The fact that you have 2 more plans to go, because this is 4. Once achieved, you have 5 and 6. So how do you incorporate all this to ensure that Ugandans get the right services?
Thank you very much. In other words, we have to work harder than we used to work to enable us reach the targets that we have realized. The priority areas that have been identified are considered to be special stimuli to enable us have a qualitative leap in terms of the economy. We need to do things in a very unusual way. That is how we are able to actually catch up. And the Tenfold strategy is one of those that we have proposed in the last years of our work towards Vision 2040. But just to give you a picture of what we mean by qualitatively, we want to be very deliberate in terms of what we are doing to enable us harness the potential that we have. Among the ATMs, we have the Mineral Development Program. And for a very long time, as a country, as government, we have been benefiting from licensing. We license blocks, and we are able to get some royalties if something is discovered. And our returns have been very low from the mineral sector. But we have repeatedly and now even discovered more minerals like rare earth, which have very high returns. So the game is changing to the extent that we are saying, can we now do beneficiation for these minerals? To the extent that we are now going to come up with bankable feasibility studies, enable us actually do the exploration to extent that will enable us access financing and be able to actually get out these minerals out of the ground. I will give you an example for the case of UNOC. Now UNOC has a license for a block to do exploration. We now, for the cases of other minerals, we have the case of the establishment of the mining company, which is meant to do business on behalf of Uganda. So that kind of deliberate effort has to come out. We also have other cases like the case of science. Science, the returns from science tend to take some more time. They don't come immediately. But if you look at our input value, net import value for pharmaceuticals is extremely high. So if we deliberately finance, for example, the bioactive drugs, which are used a lot in Uganda, that are contributing to the very high import value, you realize that we will actually have a leapfrog as far as the economy is concerned. So we are looking for such kind of areas where we can stimulate and are able to have very high returns. Okay. And these have been articulated in the NDP4.
Actually, that brings me to how what you're focusing on to promote mineral beneficiation and, of course, to ensure that Uganda adds value to its natural resources before export. Yes. Since we are talking about minerals, Doctor.
Yes. So, like I mentioned, the first effort, under mineral beneficiation, we have actually combined oil and gas. Okay. So when I say mineral, I'm basically also talking about the oil and gas. The path for the oil and gas is so evident. Ugandans have been following. Very recently, His Excellency the President signed the implementation agreement for the refinery. And that means that we are able to recover the 60 billion barrels, so the 60,000 barrels per day that are earmarked for the refinery. And the process in establishing the company is already ongoing, and we hope that in a very short time, the rolling out of the actual implementation at the Kabalega Industrial Park will happen. So that's as far as oil and gas. And that's a very big stimulus to the economy. For the case of the other minerals, I have talked about them. We are improving the licenses. We are also picking interest in the artisanal miners. We tend to call them small-scale artisanal miners, but they are becoming big because of the sophistication needed to get the minerals. They are going as deep as 300 meters down the earth crust. And we think that as government, we need to come out and deliberately support in line of the private sector, because these are private sector players. That will entail issues like mobilizing cheap credit for them in terms of financing through the development agencies that we have. We have the UDB, we have the UDC. Previously, if you trace from 2019, for the case of UDC, we are looking at a humble 500 billion as capitalization for UDC. Now we are targeting to go as high as 2 trillion for the same entity. So basically, more funds available for the private sector. Same case with UDC, UDB, excuse me. We had as low as 80 billion per year, but now the total capitalization has come to 1.5 trillion, and we expect to reach around 2.5 trillion.
Thank you. Honorable,
Yes.
let's talk about program implementation and local alignment. How is this plan incorporating, how is it aligned with the parish development model, for example? Because now this is a project that the government is treading to ensure that Ugandans benefit out of it.
Yeah, thank you very much. And viewers, I think by now you all would understand the parish development model. This is a flagship program which is aimed at implementing the national development plans. If you will recall that other than the most popular pillar of this model, which is the financial pillar, it has 7 pillars. Now, when you look at the other pillars, there is production and productivity, there is agro-industrialization, and the marketing, and up to the 7th. Now, all of these are aligned to the NDP, to the extent that if you trace this to the program under which we are implementing the PDM, in the NDP4, we have a program called Regional Development Program. Now, the purpose of this Regional Development Program is really meant to deepen decentralization and therefore also to establish elaborate structures through which the PDM is enabled or implemented. So there is a very direct relationship in terms of alignment. It is the PDM as a flagship program, which obviously is directly aligned to the NDP4. The structures at the local government level, as you will know, are being utilized for its implementation. The monitoring and the disbursement of funds and so on, its entire implementation is within the framework of the National Development Plan.
Someone is asking, Honorable, before we go for that break, hello, this is George William Rubanken from Mutungo, and his question is, how can National Planning Authority effectively integrate sustainable development goals, that is SDGs, into Uganda's national development plans, considering the complexity of multi-sectoral coordination, resource mobilization, and stakeholder engagement, while ensuring alignment with the country's Vision 2040 and other existing development framework. Ladies and gentlemen, keep your questions coming in. Send them on that WhatsApp number, 0709602592. After the break, I'm coming back with most of your questions. Don't go away.
This is the Front Bench.
All right, listen up. Colocate is on a mission. It makes our gums happy and our teeth strong. See? We're moving forward and making changes.
It's kind of a big thing.
Colgate Herbal uses traditional nature's herbs and combines it with Colgate Science for healthy gums and strong teeth.
And we'll leave no smile behind.
Hello, Kampala, Uganda. In response to the national call of strengthening the traffic security, Good Products Group HGO brand has officially launched the rider selection campaign. Registration is now open. Visit www.riders.hgo.com. Complete your registration now for a chance to win exciting prizes including motorcycles, exclusive HGO gift boxes, and official rider vests, all while promoting safe riding awareness. This is how to participate. Pay the registration fee, invite 3 friends to form a team of 4, and your registration fee will instantly be refunded. Begin your journey of honor today. Don't miss this opportunity. Join the challenge, promote road safety, and become a pioneer rider. For details, visit the official Good Products website at www.hgo.com or call toll-free 0800-335-555 or visit our offices at Kingdom Kampala 3rd floor to register now and win prizes worth millions.
This August, Africa gathers again. The passion, the pride, the beautiful game. It's Chan 2025. And the heart of the action, Uganda, the Pearl of Africa stands ready. Not just with a world-class stadium, but with open arms for every African nation. Nambole and its floodlights are already welcoming. From Kampala to Karamoja, our stadium is set. The pitch is perfect, the stage is built, and the spirit of Uganda is unmatched. Come feel the rhythm, taste the warmth, and witness hospitality like no other. Uganda welcomes all of Africa for a Chan like never before. Chan 2025, unity, passion, victory, and it's all happening right here in Uganda. Don't just watch history, be part of it.
From the day your child is born, you want to protect them. You want to protect them from the harm you know and the things your eyes can see. Protect them from falls when they are playing and as they are learning the world. But what protects them from the things your eyes can't see? Diseases attacking their bodies. Immunization from as early as birth, 6 weeks, 10, 14 weeks to 9 and 18 months. And malaria starting at 6, 7, 8 to 18 months protects children from diseases, giving them the foundation they need to grow stronger and healthier.
Parents and caregivers, remember to immunize your children 9 times from birth to 18 months to protect them against vaccine-preventable diseases such as measles, rubella, polio, pneumonia, hepatitis B, tuberculosis, tetanus, meningitis, yellow fever, diarrhea, whooping cough, diphtheria, and malaria. All vaccines used for immunization are safe, effective, and free. This message is from the Ministry of Health with support from UNICEF, WHO, and partners.
All right, listen up. Colocate is on a mission. It makes our gums happy and our teeth strong. See? We're moving forward and making changes.
It's kind of a big thing.
Colgate Herbal uses traditional nature's herbs and combines it with Colgate science for healthy gums and strong teeth.
And we'll leave no smile behind.
This is the Front Bench.
Thank you so much for keeping it UBC. The Front Bench continues. 0709602592 is our WhatsApp number. Keep your questions and comments coming in. Before we went in for that break, Honorable was talking about how this plan is really aligned with the parish development model, and I do understand that was actually very clear. Honorable, there was a question for you. This is George William Rubanken from Mutungo. He's asking, how can NPA, that is National Planning Authority, effectively integrate SDGs into Uganda's national development plans, but of course considering the complexities of multi-sectoral coordination, resource mobilization, and stakeholder engagement, while ensuring alignment with the country's Vision 2040 and other existing development frameworks. Honorable.
Thank you very much, George. Thank you for that brilliant question. And to all the viewers as well. The good news is that, as Dr. Lule earlier stated, our comprehensive national development framework is already developed in such a way that we start aligning our development planning processes to first the global level. That's where you bring in the Sustainable Development Goals under Agenda 2030. We are completely aligned to that agenda.
2030, 2040?
No, 2030.
2030,
There
okay.
is an agenda for the Sustainable Development Goals,
Okay.
the 17
Oh, yeah.
of them. That's under the Agenda 2030.
Not leaving anyone behind.
Aha, yes.
Very good.
Then secondly, we cascade down and pick on the continental. We have, as Uganda being part of Africa, we have a continental agenda, which is called Agenda 2063, where all African countries, through their heads of states, agreed to specific aspirations that must be achieved by all African countries. So we also align ourselves to that. And it's not very different from the first one I have mentioned. The aspirations are very similar. Then you come down to the EAC, which is the region where we belong. We have the East African Agenda 2050, which establishes the aspirations of all the EAC countries. Then you come down to our vision, which is 2040. So in a nutshell, our National Development Plan, or Plan 4, for instance, now, is fully aligned to all of those development frameworks. They are part of what we use in order to formulate our plan. So there is full alignment in that respect.
Okay, thank you. Doctor, there is a question for you as well. Hello, good evening. This is Bunoti Yusuf from Mbale. Why do some infrastructure, thank you, UBC. Do your plans don't have comprehensive solutions to mitigate challenges of loans besides increasing them every financial year? And what plan do you have for this country to own its bank instead of Ugandans keeping their sources within the neighbors' commercial banks at a cost? This is Mr. Nsoigo from Palisa.
Yusuf from Palisa?
Yes, Nsoigo from Palisa.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much, Jethro, and thank you, Yusuf, for that very important question. As a National Planning Authority, we have a duty to track how indebted the country has to become, and that we do through the Charter of Fiscal Responsibility. The Charter of Fiscal Responsibility is a kind of a statement that we provide to Parliament, stating how far we should go as far as borrowing is concerned as a country. We set a red flag right from the time we developed the development plan. And this Charter of Fiscal Responsibility is aligned to the fiscal policy of the country. What exactly do we want to spend on? How much obligation do we have? What is left against how much we're able to collect from the economy? So we try as much as possible to put a red block right from the very word go, communicating to our line Minister of Finance, that if you go beyond this point, then we'll have a problem. So this has always been done, and that's one of the major strategies we do. However, we do not want to say that borrowing is bad. The issue is why we are borrowing is the most important issue. If we can behave, we can borrow and service productive sectors, we are able to perform. So the concern will be now really, and that's the role of the Parliament, that where are we borrowing? If it is for production, if it's for stimulating the economy as we discussed, then that's not a danger because we know we'll reap much more. He also talks about the issue of
the
not
bank?
having a bank. The National Planning Authority has been very upbeat about this. We have done a study, evaluation study of how best we can reduce the cost of credit for the country. And we have studied all the options, including creating a new commercial bank, including capitalizing the others. And we realized that if we try to create a new commercial bank, we may be caught up by time. in the sense that the solutions need to be provided yesterday. In our recommendation in the policy guidance we gave, which is in the pipeline, and I hope the authorities, the high authorities will be able to pick interest in this, is that we are saying that if we capitalize the existing public banks, we are in a position to start right away. We have Pride, we have Housing Finance, we have
Opportunity Bank. Opportunity Bank.
Yes, and those banks, once they are capitalized, we hope that it is possible for the private sector to access cheap money compared to what is happening right now. Of course, there are other strategies also that favor this. For example, the central bank rate that has been controlled for a long time. Now we are 10.25, which is a very good rate. So there will be no justification for a public bank to go beyond maybe 15 if the central bank rate is as low as 10%. So these are the proposed strategies, and we hope that going forward in NDP4 they will be able to implement them.
Doctor, I think you should take this one away as well. Hello, good evening. Why do some infrastructure projects like roads keep appearing in the National Development Plan year after year without significant progress? Is it due to implementation challenges, funding constraints, or prioritizing issues? What measures are being taken to address these challenges, and how does the NDP prioritize infrastructure development? And what is the role of the private sector? This is Yusuf from Bali.
It's the same Yusuf. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Yusuf, for your very valid questions that talk to the real issues that affect us as a country. Indeed, we do realize that some projects are rolled over. Some of the projects are quite big, and it's expected that they will be rolled over. They can't be done in 5 years, so those we can't blame. But we have some that probably could be finished in 5 years, but they are still rolled over. And that is a symptom of a bigger problem. The real problem is how these projects are prepared. You realize that a project is commencing, money is released, but even detailed designs are not yet in place. That is a disaster. This has been a problem because of lack of, I would call it clear positioning of who should do what as far as project preparation is concerned. What are we doing about this? As a National Planning Authority, we have established a projects preparation facility. This is meant to ensure that we support our line ministry in preparing projects. Before a project is listed for a grant, before it's listed for a loan, there are prerequisite steps that must have been fulfilled. For example, the concept must have been developed, the proposal must have been developed, the feasibility study must have been done. Now, at the stage of doing the feasibility study, that's where the detailed designs come out, the environmental concerns are addressed. So by the time the project is listed for, or is being qualified for a loan, the questions that would have been asked earlier have been already asked and have been answered. And we believe for the projects we have been able to prepare, we're not seeing these problems. And we think that this will solve a lot of problems that we have for most of the infrastructure projects that the country has been struggling with.
Okay, Honorable, we've talked about demographic dividend for years. How is this plan? How are you ensuring that you move from concept to actual implementation?
Okay, demographic dividend, first of all, if I will go back a little bit, as part of our mandate now, the National Planning Authority has taken over the issues to do with the population advocacy and planning. Previously, these were functions that were performed by the National Population Council. But following the rationalization process, you may be aware that, and the viewers as well do know, that government moved in to abolish some of the agencies. In other cases, they were mainstreamed, and so on and so forth. So in this particular case, the functions that were previously performed by the National Population Council are now directly the responsibility of the National planning authority. Now, so you ask a question, what do we do? What we are doing, first of all, even before, we used to work very closely with the National Population Council. And we have been able to definitely identify the key population issues that are of great interest to planning. Recently, we celebrated the World Population Day. And during those celebrations, we highlighted to the country. Some of you can refer to our communication during that World Population Day. We mentioned to you what has so far been the achievements, what remain as challenges, and what is in NDP 4 that needs to address that population dividend, the demographic dividend. For instance, it just simply requires that as a country, we need to do more to sustain the school-going age in terms of the people who should be at school. Are they able to complete schooling? Beyond just the maybe primary, secondary, are we able to skill them? The NDP4 emphasizes skilling. That's why you see working directly to deal with that issue. Across the country, there has been establishment of a number, actually 20 presidential skilling hubs, which are dealing with that youthful population. How do we make them productive? That's the key question. And we do agree with the president, and this is also captured, that we need to deal with the issues of poverty, because poverty affects how households are able to keep children at school, or how children then are able to be kept even when they have finished school. Have they gotten life-supporting skills? So this is how we are looking at it. To go to some of these skilling hubs, you don't need just to be educated. You just need to have the interest to go and learn trades, shoemaking, bricklaying, and all of this you know about. So that's one of the key ways in which, in the plan, this is being dealt with. But remember that we have a lot of other interventions. For instance, in human capital development, here we are talking about how can the population be kept healthy, how can this population be able to be productive. So the whole area around keeping the population healthy is what is contained in the NDP. We have several interventions that have been prescribed.
Honorable, talking about economic transformation and talking about actual implementation away from the paperwork, part of your targets, you have to reduce poverty. You have to double the GDP growth.
Yes.
But how best can you really achieve this? Because this is something we've talked about over time, all the time that we meet. And you're promising Ugandans this and that, Honorable.
Yeah. Part of the analysis that we do during the formulation, not only during the formulation of our national development plans, is to understand through evaluating these plans, what did we do right, what did we do poorly, and how much did we need to do better in certain areas. So once we do this analysis, we call it an evaluation. We have the midterm evaluation of the plan, then you have the end of term evaluation of the plan. For example, NDP 1, 2 have all been, we have reports for both their midterm reviews and the end term. Now for NDP 3, we already did the midterm review, which basically means that what do we learn from how we did things? One of the key lessons is that implementation remains a challenge. And this has been running across both NDP 1, NDP 2, and NDP 3. Now, what are we doing to cure this? Through the planning process, we do agree with all the stakeholders. for example, that there will be reforms that need to be undertaken. One of the interesting ones is, for instance, our development budget. How much do we put in development?
Honorable,
and how
before you
much
go
is
further,
recurrent?
Honorable, sorry to
Yes.
cut you short. Who are these stakeholders you're talking about? Those that you engage when it comes to planning? Because National Planning Authority is a bigger entity now.
Correct. Now, that also helps me to clarify who is the owner of the plan.
Yeah.
It's not NPA. NPA is responsible for coordinating the process technically. But what we end up as a national development plan is for the people of Uganda. That's why it goes through the whole process up to approval by Parliament. It goes to Cabinet, it comes to Parliament, and it's approved. And then, as you know, recently it was launched by none other than the Chief Executive of the country. So it means that these stakeholders is every one of us as the people of Uganda. Of course, during the consultation processes, we segment this strata. We can say we have the civil society organizations, we do have meetings with them. We have the press, the press, you are part of the people we get feedback from. You come to the development partners. They are part of those whom we discuss with during this process of formulating the plans, but also we then discuss with the implementers. This is the ministries and agencies and departments of government. It could be Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Energy, all of them together. We work with them closely in the formulation, in the monitoring, in the evaluation, and then of course don't forget Parliament. But above all, we also discuss and get strategic guidance and direction from His Excellency the President. So literally, everybody is in there, including the academia. We all work with them.
Honorable, I'll get back to you. Doctor, you talked about consolidation to achieve bigger growth. How much have you put in as an authority and the stakeholders to strengthen the private sector, but of course putting in mind the climate change and the environmental changes as well?
Thank you very much, Jethro. Just to paint the picture for you, we expect that about 69% of the budget will be funded by the government in terms of the resource mobilization that will happen. And the remaining percentage, we will believe that the private sector will come and have a role to play. They play a role in terms of employment, in terms of production, and all that the space that they are involved in. So the private sector has to be planned for. If you look at the Fourth National Development Plan, we have provided an entire strategic objective for the private sector, which is to enhance the private sector participation in developing the country. And this basically is creating a favorable environment for the private sector to exist, because they already are rolling, but they are meeting some few obstacles left and right. I have talked about one of them, which is the cost of capital, the ability to access money. I talked about UDB and UDC. That has already been provided for, tens of trillions that are able to enable them access money. We talk about the cost of electricity. That has been a big problem, and we have listened to the President highlighting this on several occasions. And there is the most recent reform in the electricity sector has registered results. You will see that we have, for the case of the commercial consumers, we have had a reduction of almost 15% of electricity, which is very favorable for the private sector, especially the manufacturing. We have a reduction of about 5% for those at home. We want to believe that it's not only those that are in big manufacturing, but even those that are operating behind maybe Myoga projects are also using this kind of electricity. So if a 5% reduction has also been realized for domestic consumers. So we think that these are the issues that we have to touch, and we have begun on a very good note. If you also listen to the budget, which is part of now the NDP4, there are some taxes that have been abolished. Taxes that really don't make it very favorable for the business, for the private sector to survive. So with all these fine tunings, we hope that the private sector will continuously have a favorable ground for them to survive in the country. There are others that also talk to the private sector, or call them the investors that are coming into the country. Establishment of one-stop center to enable them do the registration, roll into the country and be able to invest without any problem, get industrial land where they can operate. These are being enhanced, and budgets have been laid against these interventions such that we are able to support the private sector.
Okay, our time is fast spent, but I have 1, 2, 3 questions that we should actually tackle very fast. Good evening, my name is Emmanuel from Rhino Camp Refugee Settlement. His question is, the National Planning Authority is planning, maybe it is the National Planning Authority planning the same to refugee or only for nationals here in Uganda? If refugees are included, why are they not mentioned on planning talk shows? Thank you so much. Honorable.
Okay. Yeah.
Are they in the plan, the refugees?
First and foremost, as a country, we are known for within the region, even globally, as one of the countries with a very elaborate policy framework that is favorable to those who fall victim within their own countries and get to be regarded as refugees. But in terms of our development planning processes, we take care of how they impact our development. For example, when we are planning with the district local governments where these are hosted, we directly plan in such a way that the presence of the refugees is taken care of. Not only that, we get support from development funders. For instance, there can be a project from World Bank, there can be other development partners who directly have interest in supporting the refugees. They are part and parcel of our planning. We are not blind to their presence in our country. In fact, if you visit the refugee settlements, there is a lot of investments that are undertaken within the camps, within the settlement camps where the refugees are hosted. We also have specific considerations on how we plan for environment vis-a-vis the degradation of the environment by the refugees through, biomass. They need firewood. They need the short of it is that the planning framework or our plans do recognize the presence of the refugees.
Honorable, I have 3 minutes at most. The doctor will summarize last.
Yeah.
In your last remarks, in 1 minute, Honorable, your last words to the viewer, in what you have in regards to the as NPA to ensure that Ugandans get ready on how and what they have to benefit from your office, Honorable.
Okay, thank you, dear viewers. It's a very good opportunity for us coming from the National Planning Authority. At this point, I have the privilege to call upon all Ugandans in all their different walks of life to first and foremost find time to understand or get interested in understanding your development plan. We have set out to distribute these plans already. Of course, a plan is a huge booklet. It's a 350 booklet. So we are already busy distributing it. We will also develop, during going forward, we will also develop the popular version, where we want to crystallize what is in this plan for easy understanding and communicating to the public.
Okay.
Just keep following us, but be interested, because this plan sets out your objectives, it sets out the key investment areas that the government of Uganda will put in money, and it also has created opportunities for where the private sector can take advantage of, and not only just to participate in implementation of the projects and programs, but most importantly, it triggers where the private sector can be able to put resources, because we are creating, the plan creates that enabling environment.
Okay. Honorable, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, those who are sending in your questions, thank you. Lydia from Jinja, Lydia Naisikwe, thank you for the show. I'm Lydia. I would like to find out from the Deputy Director, how can NGOs and CBOs align their work towards meeting the priorities of the NDP4? Thank you. Okay. Hashim, do you plan to reduce costs like in development plans to fund the budget? Well, thank you so much. Doctor, we cannot answer all these questions. I have like 2 minutes only to be out of here.
Yes.
Your last key message.
Thank you, Jethro. Dear viewers, thank you so much for the time you've given us as we try to dissect these very complex issues, but relevant to us. I want to re-echo the message that this book, which is the NDP4, is a book for the people. It's not for NPA. It is your book. The aspirations that we put here, the strategies we put, are actually meant to help us as Ugandans. And this has been endorsed by the People's Parliament, and therefore it is actually ours. I want to also echo the message to all the players that contribute to this, both the local governments, the ministries, departments and agencies, the civil society organizations. Please be relevant in ensuring that accountability is realized as we implement this plan. And lastly, I also want to talk to the development partners that are also players in this, that they should also work closely with government to ensure that there's alignment in what they are doing, and that we're able to attain the same targets that have been listed in the development plan. I thank you very much and have a good evening.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ivan Irule, the Deputy Chairperson, National Planning Authority, together with the Honorable Charles Oleny Ojok, the Deputy Executive Director, National Planning Authority. Ladies and gentlemen, we had a lot on the plate, but of course, because of time, we cannot exhaust everything, because on my tab here, questions and comments are still coming in. But of course, this shows that you are following, and we don't take it really actually for granted. I am Jethro Kasaigi. Thank you so much for being part of the show. From me and the entire team, see you next Monday.
Oh, Uganda, may God uphold thee. We lay our future in thy free for liberty, together we'll always stand. Oh, you
Kids is on a mission. It makes our gums happy and our teeth strong. See? We're moving forward and making changes.
It's kind of a big thing.
Colgate Herbal uses traditional nature's herbs and combines it with Colgate science for healthy gums and strong teeth.
And we'll leave no smile behind.
Taxation is a bit complicated, and the only way to demystify it and make it as easy to understand and to comply with is through engagement. Is there a limit to the number of cars a returning citizen is bringing into Uganda? Who has paid the excise duty on this water is not the supermarket which has sold you this bottle at 1,000. It's not the business. It is the man who is going to drink this water. We strongly believe that it will only be through such constructive engagement.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.